Hey, good morning. My journey to breaking free from the foster care mindset mentality. Listen up. Victory is near. Victory is possible. So is breakthrough. So is mindset renewal. It is possible. And I am going to briefly share some of my personal testimonial of breaking free from that mindset. So stay with me to the end. Hey, Titus, how's it going? I'm going to actually put this right here. Okay. All right. So I know I've been on Facebook for a really long time, and there are a lot of people that know my story, know my backstory, and there's just a few people that know my story from start to finish, but there are key parts to my story that a lot of people just don't know. And so I wanted to come to you today. But before I do, good morning. This is just Tiffany Quinones coming live to you from West Coast, California. So as you're coming on, please type in the comments where you are watching from. I'm going to go ahead and let Facebook do its thing for just a moment, letting people know. So, foster care. Yes, foster care mindset. You know, being born and raised in foster care was one of the most difficult things growing up in my life. I was born, and then I was taken after off and on for the first year of my life. My almost adoptive parents saw me and my twin sister in the hospital when we were born, and we were taken off and on in the first year, placed with our soon-to-be adoptive parents, and then put back with our biological parents, back and forth, back and forth. And I think it was when we were 1 or so, maybe 13 months, that we were finally placed with our almost adoptive parents. And so from there we were raised with non-ethnic folk at all. I think we had one ethnic friend. Anyway, and so this was off and on, and our biological mom, she was allowed to be in the picture. And then from there, at the age of 10, we were removed, and we were placed in different foster homes, and then I was placed in group homes because I was angry and stuff because of the things that happened. But in that time of foster care, there was a time where I was abused, beaten. We were starved if we didn't finish our work. We were put down, we were criticized, we were ridiculed. And how growing up in foster care is tough because you have to put on these different masks, but it's you have to put on these different masks to get acclimated to your environment. Not only that, but you have to put on different masks in order to meet the expectations of other people, which is very hard. But see, in this time of growing up in foster care, I was ridiculed, I was criticized, I was judged, I was looked at, I was looked down upon. I was not really looked at a level that I was normal. I was given weird stares. I was told that I couldn't amount to anything in one way, shape, or form. I was I was bullied by other kids. I was almost caught on fire. You know what I'm saying? And so I had to put on these different masks, and I had to meet the expectations. Hey, Richard, how's it going? Of other people. But it was very difficult because their expectations of me was that I had to be a foster kid, sit down, shut up, stay in the corner, you're a nuisance, don't say a word, don't step into who God called you to be, can't be talkative because it means that, you talk too much. This is stuff I was told. If you had a brain, you'd be dangerous. And so over time, I just kept, it was tough to walk in the, it was very tough to walk in the mindset that I could be something, that I could achieve something, and that I could amount to something other than being a foster kid. And And for years, I walked around with that mentality. For years, I would walk around that I wasn't good enough, that I could never measure up to people's expectations, that I just couldn't do the very thing that God had placed in me to do. So I wrestled, I struggled, and I stuffed what God had placed in me to do down for fear of what my surroundings would say to me. Because every time I would try to step out, I was put down. I was told that, who do you think you are? You think you're better than us, all this stuff. And it's like, no, I'm just trying to be something other than the label that you have put on me. I've been told, oh, well, you don't sound like you were in foster care. Please tell me that there's a sound for that, because I didn't know that there was. Like, come on. Like, so you see, you hear the judgments, you get ridiculed, you get criticized, you get condemned. And then the worst part is, thank you, Merry Christmas to you too, sir. The worst part is, not the worst part, but, you have and then, sorry. So as you can see, growing up with a foster care mindset and mentality meant that I didn't think that I would be able to sit before you today. Meant that I didn't think that I could achieve being something other than being a foster kid. And it's also sad to see some of the friends that I grew up with in foster care not achieve anything that they can really do, because they are bound by the labels that were put on them. So as you can see, right. But so my journey through foster care was that of a very tough time. It was a very tough time, because growing up, I didn't think that I could be anything other than a foster kid who was ripped from her parents, who chose a different measure of activities that would cause us to have to be ripped from them. So we didn't grow up with our biological parents. But my journey was, yes, it was tough, and yes, it was difficult to measure up and meet those expectations, but I am telling you, God seems to have had his hand in my life my entire life, and I'm grateful for the people that prayed for me, because I don't think I'd be here to this day. I think I would be dead. I think I would be off in a hole or a cave. Hey, Sharitha, how are ya? I think that I would be stuck. I would be hiding. I literally would be hiding in a cave, and I would carry around my cage, and I wouldn't be here sitting before you today. And I don't share my journey to get any sympathy points. I'm sharing my journey because we all have a testimony, because we all have a story, because it's not our backstory that makes us who we are. Yeah, I had to go through that journey, and to be honest, I know this might sound weird, but I'm grateful that I was born and raised in foster care. Excuse me, because if I wasn't, I'd be a different person. Who knows where on earth I would be to this day. But I can tell you this, that every time throughout my journey of being in foster care, every time I would go to achieve something that I was dreaming, I would get knocked back down. I would get told, well, that's not part of the plan. You're supposed to be working at McDonald's. When I wanted to go to college, I had a dream to go to college. My friends were going to college, and I'm like, man, I gotta go to college. So I applied, and I got in. I remember holding the letter when I was 18, 19, and the foster parents at the time looked at that and looked at me, well, that's not part of the plan. You're supposed to be working at McDonald's. Well, I love those foster parents to this day. They're amazing. Don't get me wrong. And I know that they meant well, but what they didn't realize was that it was knocking down my dream. It was pushing me back down, saying, that's not what we expect of you. You, who don't deserve college. That's what I heard. You're not worthy of college. You're not worthy of achieving your dreams. You're just a foster kid, and this is how you're supposed to stay. So as I'm going on my journey at the age of 18, I go to college. I decide to get the heck out of there, and I decide to move in with another foster mentor mom, who I can consider a mom to this day. Excuse me. And And she helped me stay the course to stay in college and achieve my dreams and work and find good paying jobs. Yes, I found good jobs. She's spoken to my life. But throughout my journey, I was carrying around a cage. Hey, Leona. I was carrying around a facade. I was carrying around a vision of myself that was skewed. I was carrying around all this stuff, the words. Every time I would go to achieve my dreams, every time I would go to step out and do the thing that God called me to, I was pulled back in this like cave of fear. I was pulled back in this cave of hearing the words, you're not good enough. Hearing the words, you'll never be anything. You're just a foster kid. Always a foster kid? Once a foster kid, always a foster kid. What are you in here for? You must have done something wrong. Excuse me? Thanks for the label. Foster kids don't go to college. Foster kids don't go to business college and get a degree in medical, dental, front office systems. Foster kids don't have a video segment on Facebook. Foster kids can't get their license. You know, these are the stigmas that people place on foster kids. And throughout my journey of going in foster care, these are the stigmas and labels I've had to fight against. So there was a part of me that fought. And obviously I did fight because I'm sitting here before you, but there was a part of me that was afraid to fight because I was afraid that if I did, I would be looked at differently. I would be judged worse. I would be told things that I shouldn't have been told. But but I'm grateful for the people that have come across my path, that have spoken life into me, that have helped me change the way I think and change the way I see things, that have helped me renew my mindset, that have helped me see the value that I am, that have helped me to replace those labels with and the stigmas and the branding, replace that with life, with I can achieve my dreams. If I can do it, so can you. If I can go to school with 4 kids, and do classes and get A's and B's in an English summer course for 6 weeks, you can too. If I can do Facebook videos live sharing my story, you can too. If I can raise 4 kids and 2 stepkids, which now have kids of their own, and then I have another daughter that's due next month, and if I can raise kids and they can turn out normal, so can you. You know what I'm saying? If I can work jobs and learn skill sets to get ahead in career and finances and paying off debt, if I can pay off almost $17,000 worth of debt in 40-something months, so can you. Doesn't matter if I'm in foster care, but do you see the mindset that it took? It took me until today, and I'm still not done. God's like, honey child, you got a long way to go. But I'm grateful I'm not where I used to be. Amen? I'm grateful that I no longer have the label of being a foster kid. And when I would have conversations of talking to people kind of like this, they would give me weird looks, and then they would say the following: you don't sound like you're in foster care. I didn't know that foster care had a sound. I didn't know that abused children had a sound. I didn't know that being ripped from your parents because they chose a different form of activity, drugs and alcohol, over their kids, I didn't know that that had a sound. I didn't know that being starved had a sound. I didn't know that being almost caught on fire and stabbed had a sound. Seriously. I didn't know that had a sound. But what had a sound is this: rising up, roaring, saying, I am not going to live up to those people's murmurs that I'm supposed to be something I'm not. I am not who they say I am. I am decreeing and declaring, and my gosh, if it took me 40 years to get to this place, then if I can do it, so can you. Whatever your backstory is, whatever your history is, whatever your journey is that you've been through, it does not define who you are. What I'm saying is who you've become through that is who you are. Your character gets defined and molded. God refines us. He's the refiner's fire. He makes us into diamonds. That's what his word says. We are gems. He's the refiner's fire. He molds us. He takes off the bad stuff and he puts the good stuff in. He turns us into diamonds. He makes us whole again. And there were pieces of my life that were missing in a puzzle. And I felt like I could never measure up. And now and again, it tries to rear its ugly head in my life to this day, where I get these feelings that I'm not good enough. No one wants to hear what I have to say. I can't measure up. I can't meet people's expectations. Sometimes that rears its ugly head. But here's the great thing. I don't have to pay attention to that. And I don't. And to be honest, I turned it into an honest statement of, I can't meet everyone's expectations. That's exhausting. In fact, I refuse to. Because people still have an expectation of me to be this like joy-filled, faith-filled person when I'm going through a tough time. And I said, I'm done matching my expectations to other people's when it's not fair. It's exhausting. I'm done. So I won't do it. Glad you brought that up, Miss Sharitha, and thank you. Yes, a lot of people that I see to this day that have been in foster care still operate in that mindset, still operate in that mentality, and they are very hurtful. They're very hurt. They're very bitter. They're very angry. They're ashamed. They can't get to that place of breakthrough, of peace, of joy. They can't get to that place of contentment. They can't get to that place. Did I invite people? Will you excuse me for just a second? I'm just going to invite some folks. I know it's like in the middle of people's work days and stuff, but you know, there's peeps that are on here that are like, yeah, she's doing her live again, but we'll just go back and watch the replay. Okay, then they can watch this from the beginning. They can watch the replay too. Sorry, I should have done that in the beginning. Okay, so yes, there are a lot of people that still walk around with a foster care mindset, and they stop themselves from achieving any type of success because they don't feel worthy. They don't feel like they're good enough. But I can tell you right now, if I can make it through my journey of being in foster care and get through the other side and be called out of the cave, and as we heard this morning, be loosed from all that stuff, I know other people can. Which leads me to the next thing. I don't have a certificate. I don't have a degree. I just know that my life experiences are what has qualified me to be able to talk about this and be able to help other people navigate through this, which is why there is something coming down the pipes for that. But I know that God did not bring me to this place to not share with other people. I know that other people still struggle with things in their lives, and I know that other people still, and there are even some people that I have talked to that weren't in foster care, but they were adopted. They feel like they're on the outside. It's almost like you feel like an outsider, but you're there in the midst of everything, like family and stuff, but you still feel like an outsider, like you don't belong. That's how I felt. Everywhere I went, I felt like an outcast, an outsider, like I didn't belong. People said that they wanted me, but then sometimes it was only literally about the money, and I could see that. Like, really? And some people would just quit, and I'm just like, is it something about me? So you know, I've had that journey. That's just part of my journey. I'll have a day where I'm going to share the entire story, but that's just as a whole. My journey of having victory from the foster care mindset, of what that's like. Of what it's like to going from being badly beaten because you don't understand a math problem, badly beaten for wanting to run away from an abusive home, badly beaten and starved and talked to like, you know, that wasn't just so nice. But God has definitely done a work through forgiveness, restoration, and that is possible because He's done it in my life. And I can tell you that even when that stuff tries to rear its ugly head, stuff that I've had to go through, the negative voices, the feeling like I don't measure up, I have to consistently tell those feelings and thoughts to take a hike, and I have to take them captive into the obedience of Jesus Christ. I didn't know this stuff growing up. I'm so grateful, though, that I am here to tell my story. I'm so grateful that God strategically has lined up people in my life to align me with, to help me get through that. So I just wanted to come on here real quick and just share my story, share what it was like to have that foster care mindset, and to know that it is possible to break free. Know that what happened to you in your life doesn't mean that that's your reality to this day. And that forgiveness and restoration is possible for you. If it's possible for me, it's possible for you. Heck, it's possible for everybody. And I know there's people that's going to watch this and say, wow. And other people that's going to watch this and say, good for you. And other people that's going to watch this and say, wow, I know other people who have been through this. So, will you please let those people know who are bitter that restoration and joy and peace and everything that's good is possible for them too? Yeah, I know people who have been, excuse me, in foster care also end up suicidal. In foster care, I was not set up for success. I was set up to fail. I was set up to fail. But there was something there that kept encouraging me and telling me, keep going, you've got this, I'm with you, keep going. And I'm glad I kept going little by little, like the little engine that could. I'm glad I didn't give up. Glad I didn't give in to those voices of saying, you don't need to be on this earth because nobody wants you. Glad I didn't pay attention to those voices. Those voices did cloud my head. And there were moments where I thought it would just be better to not be here. No, I didn't try, but those thoughts did come across my mind. Because being in foster care, man, it's not nice. And there are people who are in foster care right now, kids, who are getting abused, literally, who are getting beaten and starved and told that they're not going to amount to nothing. There's this movie. It's with Antoine Fisher, I think. Is that his name? Where he was taken away from his mom, put in foster care too, but then he kept having dreams that he would be reunited with his biological family, whom he had never met. And when he became a man, like in his 20s, he had met his biological family. Same thing unfolded that was in his dream. So there's a lot of people out there. So if, real quick, and then I'm going to wrap this up. If you know anyone who is in foster care, if you know a foster parent, if you know any kids that are in foster care, love them. Encourage the foster parent. Tell them that they're worthy of having an amazing home and that they're worthy of raising amazing kids. And to encourage them to see the kids in a different light other than a paycheck and other than the predicament that they enter the home in. A lot of kids are mad and angry because they've been ripped away from the one thing that they knew. And when kids are angry, they lash out. And when we understand why they're lashing out, when we talk to them instead of getting mad and telling them, okay, here's your box. Do you know how many boxes I had to carry around? How many trash bags duffel bags. I lived out of those, you know, those cardboard boxes that you build yourself. I lived out of a lavender, flower, and white boxes. And then the this one foster home had a cardboard dresser for me. Cardboard. And so, and cardboard boxes. But I also know this. I know that there are foster parents as well who have a heart for kids, and it shows. I have personal friends who are foster parents, and I know friends who were foster parents and then they adopted. And so, either way, love foster kids. You never know what their predicament is, and if you know it, treat them with honor. Love them. Love them. They know when they're being loved, and they know when they're being treated like a nuisance. I was not always loved. I was treated like I was a nuisance, and it was very painful. It's what gave me the tough mentality that thought, well, you know what, since I'm not welcome here, maybe I'll be welcome somewhere else. So it was very tough to find that family. Very tough to find a family that really portrayed the fact that they wanted me. So that's all I got. I don't want to keep going on, but that's part of my story, my journey, and how restoration, forgiveness, joy, peace is possible. And excuse me. So that's all I got for you. So I love you. Please share this again. You never know who out there needs to be encouraged, and know that it's all gonna be okay, and that there's a reason you're watching this video. It's to tell you that you are loved, and it's to tell you that you are not just a foster kid. Even if you weren't in foster care, you are amazing. Amazing. You're wonderful. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of having love and giving love, and you are worthy of living out your dreams. Yes, you who's watching. So I love you. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll come at you soon with a new video. Okay, bye-bye.